Hi, welcome to the thinkology coach channel. I am Nicola, and this is a video just introducing what thinkology actually is, and why I teach it and why I feel it's so beneficial to children. So thinkology is a made-up word, but basically it means the study of your thinking. Wasn't made up by me, but I thought it was a great description of what I wanted to teach and what I wanted to the understanding that I wanted to bring to emotional well-being and mental health for children. So I definitely feel like mental health is really complicated, and there's all these ways and of looking at mental health and strategies and systems that we use, and they all kind of they're all trying to say the same kind of thing, but if you learn it one way and in a different way and another way, it can be quite confusing because one person might teach you this and one person might teach you that. So when I was looking at ways to help my children, so I'm a parent of two neurodivergent children, and they've really struggled with anxiety, overwhelm, their mental health, self-regulation, and just like having an understanding of how they worked. And each everybody's mind is individual. We all work differently, we all think differently, because our thinking is created from our own unique individual experience of life. So I didn't know how to help them. I went on every single parenting course that was available, because if you have a neurodivergent child, they're not looking at how to help the neurodivergent child. They're looking at blame your parenting essentially in the first kind of stages or initial stages of diagnosis. They want to rule out that it's not your parenting instead of getting to the core of it, of what is happening for your child and how is their challenges manifesting in daily day-to-day life. And I really struggled with this because every parenting course I was on kind of looked at ways of parenting your child, and that is brilliant if you have a neurotypical child who is not overwhelmed by sights, sounds, smells, feelings, whose nervous system isn't in overdrive all the time. Um, and I really, really struggled with help for both of them for lots of years. And I took it upon myself to learn a little bit more. So essentially, I started out as a hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, life coach, because I was really struggling with anxiety. And it's something I never felt before, but it actually developed from what I was having to deal with day to day with my children, and mostly from other people, parents at school, um, supermarkets, be it being at play groups or in the soft play and things. And it was, I really, really, my nervous system was already overloaded with stress because of the just sheer enormity or amount of parenting that I had to do. It wasn't I couldn't just leave my child for 2 minutes, because if I left him for 2 minutes, he did something crazy or like put himself in danger. And didn't matter how much forward thinking I did, there always seemed like in the early years there was always something happening, or something like I always said I would write a book about the crazy stuff that happened with my kid. But what I didn't know is that at that time, in the initial stages of parenting, was that my child was neurodivergent. So he was experiencing the world in a completely different way to anything I'd ever experienced. So I decided to look at ways in helping myself with my anxiety. And in that, I discovered that actually a lot of the challenges my child was experiencing was anxiety, his nervous system was overloaded, he was overstimulated, he didn't have the tools, the strategies, ways to calm him down. And so I kind of went on a journey of learning and understanding about lots of things, neuroscience, how the mind works, how psychology, all these stuff that fascinated me and helped me to just gain a lot of insight into how my child worked and how I worked. And yeah, it kind of really brought a lot of peace and understanding when I kind of realized that if we could reduce the anxiety, if we could reduce the overwhelm, if we could um, calm our nervous systems, then we would have a much better experience of life. So along this journey, a wonderful coach and friend, Oriel Taylor, introduced me to something called the three principles. And it's based on an understanding that everything comes from thought. And when I had that light bulb moment or had that absolute realization that I create my experience of life through my thinking, through my state of mind. So whatever I am thinking about the world is how I will feel, or the emotions that I would feel. And that would be my experience of my outward environment. And three principles explains that you experience the world from the inside out, not the outside in. And I was totally blown away by this. And when I realized I was creating all my own anxiety, all my own stress, all my own overwhelm, I was like, yes, this is helpful. This is the most useful thing that I've ever known or understood or experienced. And all of that is based on self-awareness. How do you work? How do you experience things? Well, how does your mind work? Not how do you work, but if everything is experienced from the lens of our thinking. So all this just fascinated me, and it's what I've been learning for about the past 8 years. But again, there's lots of other things that come in and along with that. So thinkology was kind of created from the understanding of that your thoughts create your experience. But what do you do with those thoughts? How do you challenge them? How do you change them? Because it's that phrase, it's okay to not feel okay. But how do you change that? How do you move through that? How do you create a better experience for you? Because nobody wants to feel bad all the time. Nobody wants to feel stressed all the time, depressed, anxious, overwhelmed. And we're not given the tools to manage this. So thinkology was kind of created as a way to, one, help my children, but also to help other children. Because I was like, well, if this is a struggle that I'm facing, and I am quite open to learning new things and finding things for myself, like in the very beginning of my autism journey with the children, it was point me in the right direction. I will learn, I will help them myself if you do not have the tools or the resources or anything like that, because our mental health system is like crippled at the moment. You can't get an appointment, even when your child is having suicidal ideation or like an extreme mental health crisis. You're not getting the help and the support straight away when you actually need it. So I always think of thinkology as more like a preventative method. If you're taught these skills and this understanding from a really early age, then life will be better, life will be easier. If you're taught to not like place so much importance on every single thing that you think, then you're not overwhelmed by it. And thinkology teaches tools and strategies around noticing your thinking and what your thinking is doing for you and how you can change that. So thinkology also uses a lot of NLP, neuro linguistic program, to help you to retrain your brain, repattern your brain, because our brain works on patterns and conditioning. And how do you break out of that pattern and conditioning? And how do you move through limiting beliefs or negative self-talk or all of these things that we all have, and how do we not pay attention to that so much and focus more on the positive? So thinkology isn't just about positive thinking, but it's choosing more positive thinking. You are always only one thought away from a whole new experience of life. And I also use lots of somatic techniques. So I've recently trained as a silent counsellor, which it really uses lots of somatic techniques to release whatever is trapped in their body, because we think things with our mind, but we feel it in our body. So we can have anxious thoughts and our brain will produce the cortisol and the adrenaline that cause that anxiety within our body. So I always explain this to children, and it's just the way that your brain works, and you can't stop it because it is so fast. Your brain and your nervous system's interconnectedness will just fire those hormones through your body as soon as you're having or as soon as your mind is recognizing an anxious thought as being an anxious thought, then the anxiety comes, but from the release of cortisol and adrenaline in your body. So it uses lots of somatic techniques, because I feel like our children need to learn how to move through the thinking, but also to move the emotion through their body so it's not stuck. So we use things like EFT and breathing techniques and acupressure techniques, lots of things just to, well, when you're feeling this, you can do this. So I really love teaching thinkology. I love the changes that I see with children. I love it when I get to say goodbye to a client, because then I know that they have their knowledge, their understanding of thinkology, and they're going to go out and see just how to use that in the real world. Because it's okay learning something, but it's when you put it into practice, when you embody it, that you really see the benefit of it. So that's a little bit about what thinkology is, and I hope you've enjoyed watching. I'll be doing some more videos, and I hope you like them too. Thank you.